Are you looking for the best cabin tent? In this video we will look at some of the best cabin tent on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Eureka Copper Canyon LX Tent. The Eureka Copper Canyon tent has some really nice extra features like an e-port and lots of interior storage. The large mesh windows are also great. Leave them open and you'll get plenty of light and ventilation in the tent. Setting up the tent is actually pretty simple. There are clips instead of sleeves, so poles go through easily. It's even possible for one person to get the tent up alone, though an extra set of hands will make it faster. Compared to other cabin family tents, the Copper Canyon does handle rain well. The flyover hangs the windows to prevent leaks. However, there are no vents, so it gets steamy inside with the windows completely up. The floor material is very thin, so some rain may leak through. I'd recommend using this tent with a ground sheet to prevent that, which means one more thing to pack. Luckily the tent is actually pretty lightweight at 22 to 37 pounds depending on the size. Number 2. Coleman Instant Darkroom Cabin Tent. The Coleman darkroom tents are designed for camping in sunny weather. The material blocks sun so you can sleep in later, or your baby can take a nap inside. Unlike other dark tents, the Coleman tent also blocks heat so it doesn't turn into a sauna. Setup is incredibly easy with the tent. The tent is pre-attached to the poles. It really only takes a minute or two to get the tent up. There are some other nice features of the tent for families too, like lots of storage and a removable divider to make 2 rooms. The door is hinged, which is easy for getting in, out. The 10p version of the tent has 2 doors, one in front and one in the back. This means you can actually have 10 people sleeping in it without everyone stepping on each other. The major downside is that the tent sucks in heavy rains. It doesn't look like the seams are sealed very well on the Rainfly tent. You could seal them yourself though to make it more rainproof, or just pitch under a tarp shelter for additional protection. Number 3. Core 9 Instant Cabin Tent. I love the design of this 9p tent by Core. It gives you a sleeping area in the back with a drawback divider. The front room can be used as a screened porch. You'll like hanging out there at dusk when the mosquitoes come out. You could also use the screen room as a separate sleeping area, but the 2 doors are located here. You'll have to climb over each other getting in, out. Putting the tent up is almost instant. It has telescoping poles and an intuitive frame. Once the frame is together, you just clip the tent in place. The other cool design feature of the Core 9p family tent is that there are vents on the ground. These really help with airflow when you have the windows rolled up. The roof is mesh, so you don't get as much condensation as with other cabin tents. This makes it a better pick for cold and rainy weather. The tent seems to handle rain very well. The Rainfly extends over the windows a bit so you can leave them slightly open for ventilation in light rains. If the weather will get really bad, you'll want a ground sheet under the tent. An annoying thing about the tent is that there aren't any tie-ups for the windows. When you unzip them, they just hang there, which may be in your face depending on where you sleep. There's also no way you will comfortably get 9 people in this tent. It's better for 4-5 people and use the front room as a porch for hanging out and gear. Number 4. Core 12-Person Instant Cabin Tent. If you need a very large 3-room family tent, this is one of the best options, and it's budget-friendly. The tent has a central entranceway with a door on each side. There are 2-room dividers which go up to make a total of 3 rooms. The tent sets up very quickly. You could theoretically fit 12 people in this tent, but the people sleeping on the side rooms would have to crawl over the people in the middle room to get in, out. I wish they would have put a door at each side so you could enter or exit without crossing the center room. As it is, the center room is best for hanging out or gear storage and not for sleeping. As with most other Core tents, there are floor vents. These really do help with condensation when camping in cold weather. The tent withstands rain fairly well, but the seams will eventually start to leak. Be prepared to reseal the seams after using the tent for a season or two. I also wish the rain fly extended over the windows more. Number 5. Big Agnes Big House 6P Cabin Tent. I love the Big House 6P tent because it is incredibly versatile. It serves very well as a family cabin tent that fits up to 6 people, realistically. 2-3 adults and 2-3 kids or dogs. You can also set up the rain fly by itself to use as a shade shelter. If you need more space, there is an optional vestibule, sold separately, that connects to the front of the tent. As you'd expect from Big Agnes, the tent withstands bad weather really well. The rain fly actually extends far down the side of the tent so no leakage occurs. There are flaps over the zippers to keep rain from getting through. The seams are sealed very well so you won't have to reseal them anytime soon, because there are just 2.5 poles. The cabin tent is stupidly easy to set up. You just slide the poles through the small sleeves and then clip in place. The only real downside is that there aren't any windows to look out and it gets stuck in the tent. Number 6. Eureka Space Camp 6P Cabin Tent. At just £16 1 ounce, the Eureka Space Camp 6P tent is incredibly lightweight for a cabin tent. It also has better weather protection than most family cabin tents because of the full coverage rain fly. You don't have to worry about rain getting into the tent, even if it is windy. There are upper and lower vents built into the tent, so you don't get condensation issues in cold weather either. Another nice perk is that there are 2 doors and 2 vestibules. Since this isn't the largest tent, the storage room comes in handy. Be warned that the space camp only has mesh on the inner tent. You can't zip up these windows. Without the rain fly, you basically get a nice bug tent, but absolutely no privacy. Thus, you really need to use the tent with the rain fly. Because there are no windows in the fly, you won't have any views from the tent like you get with most cabin tents. But the windows are where cabin tents tend to leak, so you essentially trade the views for weather protection. Also note that the floor is pretty thin. Use a ground sheet, not included, in bad weather or rough ground,